So then we went into one of my favorites of the I mean, I guess they're all great, but I was so excited to talk to Jason Fried from Basecamp 37 Signals. Hey, I followed his stuff for a long time. He's got his newest book, It Doesn't Have to Be Crazy at Work. If you're a podcast listener here at Organized Chaos, you heard me interview DHH, his co-founder, partner. And that interview, we could have talked for a week. There was so much to cover.
You're holding up this book.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with it. Yeah.
So Jonathan, if you're listening to the audio, he's holding up REWORK. Same. I read that back in, I think it was 2010 or something when it came out. And it's just such a practical, like, way of doing business. You know, like that's what I found myself as I'm reading through that. That book specifically is more like, you know, it's like a picture every 3 pages, you know, an illustration and a phrase that a quote that you'd want to like put on your wall in the office. It was so foundational for me in running my first business. And so yeah, I've followed these guys over the years, and there's a lot of things that I think Basecamp has done differently. And they've kind of, you know, whenever the market zigs, they zag, you know, like whenever everybody's, you know, charging per user or something for years and years and years, they just had flat rate pricing, like $99, unlimited users, whatever, just use our tool. You know, everybody's raising money. They said, nope, we're never going to raise money. We're just going to bootstrap it. Everyone's hiring 500 employees. They said, nope, we can do this with 40 people spread around the world. Everybody's in a headquarters. They're remote. Everybody's, you know, like so many decisions that they've made have been counterintuitive and contrarian. And it makes you challenge the way that you're thinking about running your own business. And so right or wrong, agree or disagree with how they're doing things, I think the challenge is what's important, because not everything they're doing, I don't agree with every single thing they're doing. I'm going to run my business how I run it, but they're prompting so many interesting conversations. That's what I loved about it. And so just so happened that like 12 hours before I'm interviewing Jason, they roll out Basecamp 4 quietly, very quietly, and didn't even promote it much. But if you went to their website, their pricing changed, their product changed, their website changed, everything changed. And so in the hours leading up to this interview, we're like poring over their website and trying to figure it out. And he kind of did like a little bit of an unveil or release. And so that's fun to watch if anyone goes back.
The first public place that he talked about Basecamp 4.
Yeah, which was really cool. Another thing that he said that is just one of their principles that I love is talking about how much the owner's word weighs. That the owner's word weighs a ton. And I'm sure you feel this, Jonathan, as a partner, co-founder here. When you say something in a meeting, or when you just offhand make some comment, the people on our teams can take that to mean like, oh, drop everything else. This is the thing Chris cares about.
Yeah.
And the same has happened to me when like I used to get emails, and I'd see an email, kind of a cold email, and think, oh, it's, kind of interesting. Like this is in whoever's domain, and I would forward it to them. And then the next thing you know, they're like setting up demos and getting proposals and coming back to me and be like, yeah, we can use this service, and it's $32,000, and you just need to like sign this contract. And I'm like, hold up, what? Like, how did we even get here? And they're like, oh, you sent me that email. I figured you wanted this done. And when you think about that simple example, like how many times does that happen in a business with just the owner coming in, or the, a leader coming in and saying something that lacks clarity? Back to our last point, to their team. It was a great lesson, great conversation we had about that with Jason, how specific you need to be about, not derailing your team when you're the leader.
And not just from a standpoint of the work being done, but also how you work, right? Like you're setting an example, whether you want to or not. How you work, when you work, the ways you show up, that is setting an example to anybody below you in the organization. And they're going to think that's how they need to show up. That's how they'll be expected to work, whether you want to or not, right? It's like you hear people become a celebrity and they're like, oh, I never wanted to be a role model. It's like, well, you have to be conscious of your influence. eyes and attention are on you, and you are influencing people whether you intend to or not.
Right. Yeah. So the conversation with Jason was fun. It was very rooted in company culture and just how you run your business. You know, the newest book, It Doesn't Have to Be Crazy at Work, is you hear so many people say when you ask them like, hey, how are things going at work? It's like, oh, it's crazy. You know, things are so busy. It's crazy. And the idea of this book is like, you know, it doesn't have to be that way. Like you can actually focus and, you know, work 40 hours and have realistic growth expectations. And like, you don't have to self-impose so much pressure and stress the heck out of everybody.
Right.
So it's a really cool philosophy around running business. Definitely check that out if that's something you're focused on.